Grease is back at the Chanhassen Dinner Theater, opening January 31st. Experience the nostalgia of high school in the 50s with this musical based on the iconic film. Head over to our contest page for your chance to win a pair of tickets, including dinner for two. That's KFAN.com keyword contest to enter today.
Yes, teased her again. No, it's okay, Kara. Hot? 9 to noon from the Tree Ring. It is Vox in the Box. 10:08 Russo Radio for a spell. Up to Alex Staylock, former Wild goalie. South St. Paul go crazy.
I loved
hold on. All right, 3-2. Go ahead.
I loved listening to Staylock with you the other day.
Okay, wait, that's the wrong one. There we are. All right. Russo Radio.
Test, 1, 2,
and
3-2. Test
Alex
there.
Staylock at
I
10:30.
loved last time you did Vox in the Box. I was driving home during Staylock's segment. He was awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. That's nice of you to say that.
Yeah.
Ryan Carter, Alex and Ryan, very close.
Yep.
Ryan will join us here from the observation deck. Is that what this is called, or is this?
I always call it the GM's perch.
Yeah.
But it's
when we're
it should be the press box, but apparently Bill Guerin's commandeered it and turned it into the GM's booth.
Okay, now wait a second here. It just hit me, Zacho. It's 10:09. We have no morning skate.
What's going 10:30 now.
Oh, 10:30 for the skate.
When Dean left, John Hynes switched it back to 10:30, much to the delight of us beat writers.
Mm-hmm. Michael Russo, The Athletic, theathletic.com, at Russo Hockey via the tweet machine. Follow him as 9 to noon does. And there's much to talk about. But first, Salt Lake City and hockey in that arena. I watched it, and I found it to be quite compelling. I found myself, not only the game being compelling, the finish was cool, but the fans, just like following the it's not a glass-slapping Nashville off-Broadway crowd.
Yep.
It's an ooh and an ah impressionable crowd.
Yeah, totally agree with you. That was the cool part of it. I almost joked on Twitter. I think I mentioned on my podcast last night that the one thing that was very apparent to me is that the restlessness that you get when the team is not playing well was palpable throughout the first period and a half. They were getting upset, and they haven't been great at home this year. So I think the fans, it's like, all right, yeah, they're thirsty for hockey, but they also want to see victories and the party that they had, say, opening night against Chicago, and they want to continue that. And so I thought the fans were great. I love, I'm doing a bunch of Utah stories next week. I met up with their GM for a half hour the other day.
Of course,
and I met up with their president of the team, Chris Armstrong. So Chris Armstrong and Ryan Smith flew back from the Board of Governors meetings in Palm Beach and landed right before the game, so I met up with them. And what's interesting is that they announced 11,131 for attendance every game as a sellout, but there's actually between 13 to 16,000 in the building every single game, and 5,000 of the on top of that 11,000 can't see parts of the ice.
What?
There's so many obstructed seats there that they can't, but they are still coming.
Yeah.
So they'll watch and you actually watch them. They're watching the ice, and then all of a sudden when they can't see the ice anymore, they're looking at this incredible jumbotron, and then they're back to the ice. And it was kind of interesting to watch these fans and the story that I'm writing. Ray Ferraro actually pointed this out to me last night. We went out
of course you did.
And he's like, what I find, and I covered the beginning of the Arizona Coyotes when they played at America West Arena. Now I don't even know what the Phoenix Suns Arena is called, but that was where the hockey team played.
Yeah.
And in the end zones, you couldn't see the ice. It was obstructed
Saquon,
seats.
or it's the casino that's right across the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Neha or something?
It's,
Saquon?
Manahi or something.
Yeah, something like that. All right,
but anyway,
3-2.
Yeah, but anyway, So now you have the beginning of the Arizona Coyotes in a basketball rink that wasn't fit for hockey. Now you're the beginning of the Utah Hockey Club. The same thing, same organization essentially.
What? So they're where the Jazz plays?
Yeah, they play at the Delta Center.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And I could not believe. So I covered a Jazz Heat game there in 2005. I couldn't believe it's the same arena. So
I couldn't either watching it.
Yeah. So 2017, they absolutely renovated the heck
nice
out
of the box
building.
to say that, but anyway.
Yeah. It was awesome. Like the down part. I mean, it is a modern arena. It's gorgeous. The bowls are incredible. The concourses are incredible. The event level where the players are, they totally like. You walk into that Utah locker room, it is tremendous.
Wow.
And same thing with the visitors locker room. So they've done that. That's part one of their. So they did the 2017 renovations. Then when they got the Coyotes franchise in a summer, they completely blew out the lower concourses. Like the interview room is the interview room / chapel.
Wow.
So, I went in there, had a little prayer, and then I interviewed Andre Tierney.
Yeah.
But so they've done this incredible job of like building that out, and then they got a 3-summer plan, depending on how far the Utah team and the Jazz team goes, and when they're going to start renovations. They don't want to disrupt anything, but they're going to, like on one end zone, they're going to have a slope from the lower bowl to the top of 50 seats.
Wow.
50 rows of seats, and it's just going to be one giant slope.
Wow.
And then they're going to, on the other side, they're going to basically, put where the box, all the frills that they're going to have to take out of that area, they're going to put on the other side. And so the goal is to have an arena that has 16,000 to 17,000 that everybody could see the ice, and turn this, what was built for a basketball team, into a multi-purpose arena. And they want to do such a good job that when the 2034 Olympics go back to Salt Lake City, that the hockey games are actually played in the Delta Center. So I'm really impressed with what Ryan Smith, the owner of the team, has done. He's got a ton of money, owns the Jazz Utah team. The day we were there, the top basketball recruit in Utah that was being recruited by like North Carolina and Kansas and all these blue chip teams chose BYU. And I'm like,
wow,
why did he choose BYU? Well, guess who the big NIL investor is? Ryan. He got like $4.5 million to go play.
So how long has he owned the Jazz? Well, because Larry Miller,
right.
did he die?
Yes. Right. Wasn't he blind? Right, or was that the Cleveland? One of the.
Yeah,
but
that
anyway,
was Gund with Cleveland. Okay. No, but Larry Miller, back when Jerry Sloan coached,
and he used to sit on the.
Even hockey people knew that was kind of owning coaching immortality.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he's on the team. He's like 40 years old. Doesn't wear a suit. He's cool as heck, man. And he's sitting. He has this awesome suite in the corner, multi sort of sections of suites. But he sits along the glass in the end zone. I'm like, who's the guy he's sitting with the other day? And Chris Armstrong, their president's like, oh, that's Laurie Markkinen.
I knew you were going to say, and Laurie's daughter was next to her son, one of the two.
And so then I learned all about Laurie. So like I asked him.
Yeah, Laurie's Finnish, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, are you a big hockey fan? He goes, yeah, I dropped the puck at opening night. I've been to 8 games. And the other thing about him is that he grew up playing hockey in Finland. So
Markkinen?
He's a huge hocky fan.
Wow.
And
who was his favorite player? Pronger or Chara?
Mikko Koivu.
Yeah, right.
So it was a great experience. I loved the downtown, quiet, felt safe, beautiful with the mountains in the background. And, Park City's like 35-minute drive away.
Wow.
I was talking to Nick Bukestad, and he's like, originally, so all the players are living in sort of Sandy and Holiday are the two cities that they live in. I think the young guys live in Sandy, where the practice rink is being built. That's the other thing. This guy took $111 million of his own money, bought a shopping center this summer, and
Ryan Smith.
And it's turning into their offices and things. So he is invested.
How old is he?
He's like 40.
He's like 40.
Yeah, and
so is this like tech money or investing or something like that?
Yeah. But I was talking to Bukestad, and I didn't realize how close Park City is.
Yeah.
I talk to Park City all the time with Madonna because he's up there all the time. But I didn't realize. I always thought it was like an hour away. It's like 35 minutes. And so Bukestad was thinking of living there, but then just like if you're going down I-35 to Des Moines in the middle of the winter, if you get a whiteout, all of a sudden they're closing up I-35. Same thing, like if they get a horrible snowstorm, they'll just close the highway.
Yeah.
So Bukestad didn't want to risk missing practices or games.
Well, they put up big bars.
Yeah.
Like you can't go by. Because I drove from Northern California to Shakopee 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
And I hit, around Park City and Salt Lake City on the way to Laramie, where sometimes it doesn't look like it's black ice.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets so treacherous around that park.
So in 2005, that year that I covered that Jazz Heat game, I spent some extra time up there, and I went up to Park City. It was awesome.
It's
I went up there during the Sundance Film Festival.
And you skied?
No. I drank a lot of coffee. At that time, I was probably drinking a lot of beer. I was in a bar. It was the Sundance Film Festival, and I don't know the actor's name, but I was with my brother and a buddy. I'm like, hey, isn't that Mr. Belding from Saved by the Bell? And it was. And he sat there and talked with us, bought us drinks. It was awesome.
Well, with the crowd at Delta Center, I thought it was you just don't see this so often where it would be a casual wrister by Clayton Keller.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And then they come on a rush the other way. It just was such an impressionable crowd. It was so unique.
No, and even for me, so they have, just like America West Arena, the press boxes, we're in the sort of the basketball, the NBA writer press box, which is in the top part of the lower bowl in the corner. Great seats, except you can't see the benches. So I texted LaPanta. I'm like, hey, because he was on the other side of the rink. I'm like, dude, if you see anybody, because I have a tendency every 5 minutes. It's been for 30 years. I always count the bench and make sure there's 13 skaters on the bench to know that nobody's out. Well, I couldn't see the bench, and it was absolutely giving me like a conniption fit, like that I wasn't going to see if somebody left the bench. So I texted LaPanta. I'm like, yeah, count the bench for me. So you couldn't see that. Couldn't see one corner, but the one thing that again I appreciate that you never get in an NHL press box is how fast the game is and how little time and space these guys have that the average fan, especially the ones that sit in the lower bowl, see on an everyday basis.
Yeah.
So when I'm in the press box and I'm just like, gee, Spurge, how did you not make that pass? Or hey, Rossi, why didn't you make that play? You realize how little time and space they have. But when you are upstairs, especially in some of the press boxes that we are, like Edmonton, where you feel like you're a mile from the ice, or same thing with L.A. Oh, it's the worst.
Really?
The game is so slow up there.
Seems like United Center your way up there.
Yeah, and you see every lane. And so as a sports writer, sometimes you're just sitting there and you're kind of like, I cannot believe that he didn't make that play or didn't see that play because it doesn't. It's not played at 2 miles an hour like we see it upstairs. Right. So it's pretty good perspective.
Lastly, here with Yeti Fan Line, the Ryan Smith, the owner, owns the basketball team and the hockey team.
Yep.
Well, that's nothing but good.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, in a competitive market / competitive world, specifically between two pro sports that play at the same time, to have the same guy owning both teams, there's so much you can do with that from not only a congeniality standpoint, but a marketing standpoint, and to have those two in the same building, not competing with each other, and doing the tit for tat, and the shoe size contest and stuff like that. Am I off base here, or is that a potential positive?
No, I think it is a positive, and there's such an appreciation, like at their, so the other thing he did is at the Jazz practice facility, or also at the Delta Center. Like the coaches share the video room, they share the gym. They the Utah coaches and for both the Jazz and the hockey team have the same coaches room.
Jeez.
And the Jazz have just accepted that.
Yeah.
Just walking around the arena, there's such a. I mean, I just mentioned Markkanen being at the game. There just seems to be this incredible, I don't know, relationship between both organizations. This owner has done a really unbelievable job. I mean, if you just think about last year, the season ends in Arizona, and within 2 days, we know they're going to Utah. And the way it works is Brian Smith has been beating down the door for 3 years with Gary Bettman to get an expansion team. And there's going to be expansion in the NHL eventually here, probably in the next 5 years. And so one day, Gary Bettman literally calls him up and says, how about the Arizona Coyotes, and can you do it by next year? And he goes, yep, we'll do it.
Wow.
And within a summer, they build this organization, they renovate the arena.
And that's relocation.
Yeah. But it's a relocation, but they're calling it a new organization.
Okay, so does that profit the other owners at all?
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, because owners in all sports hate relocation, love expansion.
Yes. And so anyway, it's to me, this is a... I'm excited to see where it goes. I think it's really cool that the Wild are in that division. There were a ton of fans there. I didn't realize how many Minnesotans lived there. And I just think it's going to be a destination. It's not going to be like when the Wild would go to Arizona and half of Glendale Arena or more would be Wild fans.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I think it's so easy to get, hub to hub, Delta. The airport's spectacular. It's 10 minutes from downtown. As I joke, I'm just kidding. Some people listening might be excited when I say this, but I did text my editors. I'm like, hey, if you ever need a Utah writer, I'd be happy for a transfer. I just 3 days there. It's so I don't know what it was. Maybe the weather was just perfect, 30 degrees. But you go outside, you take a deep breath, you look at the mountains in the background. It was awesome.
Zacho?
There was some talk with the players going from living in Arizona, beautiful Arizona, to then now obviously having to move to the Salt Lake City area. How have the players taken the move? Are they happy?
Yeah, they are. They're just happy to have a real owner. I mean, the amount of shade. I talked to a bunch of players for this story.
Of course you did.
And, the amount of shade they were throwing on the old ownership group. I mean, even Bill Armstrong and Chris Armstrong on the record said that it's just, Bill Armstrong, their GM, who's not related to Chris, based on the record, said it's just nice to know that we don't have to fly in the day of games. We're actually on reputable airlines. We stay at the nicest hotels now in New York.
They were doing that?
Oh, it was
Coyotes?
ridiculous. Yeah, the Coyotes were
Wait, they were flying commercial?
They weren't flying commercial, but everything they did was cheap. They weren't paying their bills.
Wow.
They owed money everywhere. They literally would get an invoice and rip it up, or this is what we're paying you. It was just disgusting what Morello was doing there. It was just a bunch of crookedness. And now they're treated like an NHL team, and that's going to be the thing here, because they have this great young core with the Gunthers and the Tijiginlas coming and the Hayden Kellers and all this stuff. But then you have this awesome city, a great building, and most importantly, ownership. And so I think as the cap continues to grow, and they got a ton of money now to deal with because they don't have the dead money of the fake players that they've had for years there to get to the cap floor, I think it's going to be a destination for players to want to go play there. And so, because ownership is the most important thing. That's why people want to come to Minnesota, is because of what Craig Leopold has done here. And by the way, when these Parisian Suter dead money things come, I think it's going to really, and the cap continues to grow, I think it's going to continue to be that way. I think the stable ownership is the most important thing to any pro sport. And in Arizona, it was just a comedy of errors for, the last 25 years, essentially.
At The Athletic and theathletic.com, written by Michael Russo at Russo Hockey. By the way, paternity leave for Joe Smith.
Over.
It's over?
Monday, it's officially over.
Oh, wow. So he milked that thing 2 months, didn't he?
5. He got
5 months?
So,
that lucky sucker.
So, but the last 3 at The Athletic, he could split it up. Mm-hmm. So he is back, and he really did me a solid today, because he had Charlie Strammel on his podcast the other day, and then he told me this, and he's like, hey, I can send you the quotes. And then, so all right, I got Adam Nightingale on the phone, the Michigan State coach. I talked to Brad Bombardier, and then we combined our forces and wrote this double byline story today. So technically, he didn't have to do that because he's not back from paternity leave officially yet. But he helped me out today with a really cool story.
Was Strammel, Michigan State, playing Moscow's team this weekend? The headline was grabbing, as was the first few paragraphs that I read about how he got himself to where he is now. Yeah. For those who may have missed it, what they miss?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a local kid. He's been under a lot of stress. His freshman year didn't go well at Wisconsin. Then they have a coaching change. Mike Hastings comes in, not the guy that recruited him.
Right.
And clearly he wasn't playing well, and Mike had trust in other guys. And, a lot of times he was on the fourth line getting limited minutes, not getting a lot of trust late in games. If he made mistakes, not getting shifts. And he, this is where the transfer portal worked. Adam Nightingale was his coach with the development team. He's been a mentor to him, especially since his father passed away in 2021. And so he transfers to Michigan State. But what Adam Nightingale impressed upon Charlie is that just because you're changing uniforms in schools doesn't mean you're going to be a better player. You've got to commit to being in better shape. being a better player, working hard, and playing with a chip on your shoulder. And so far, he's done that. He's got more points than he had last year in a full season at Wisconsin. He's the number 1 center on the number 2 team in the nation. I'm really looking forward to watching him Friday at Mariucci and seeing the Gophers and Michigan State go toe to toe. And what it shows is that, he's a 6'4" center, junior. Obviously, Wild fans are going to always kind of look at him with a little skepticism because I think it's pretty much public knowledge that they didn't take the pro kid who looks like he's been an incredible college hockey player, looks like he's going to be a great NHLer, passed him over because they didn't have big centers. And sometimes when you pass players over, it's at your own peril, and that's why a lot of GMs and head scouts want to take best player available. And here they passed over somebody on their list to take this kid, and then you don't have 2 good years, and now there's a lot of pressure on the kid. But right now he's playing well. The Wild watch him a ton. They're going to stick with him and hope that he develops. He's, I would assume, going to go to a senior year at Michigan State. Then the Wild will sign him and then try to develop him down in Iowa, and we'll see if he turns into something.
How's my man doing on the blue line for the Denver Pioneers? They traded up to get in the most recent draft.
Boyan, he's been awesome. And
Zeev?
Yeah, Zeev.
Yeah.
And, he's going to play on the World Junior team again. Has a ton of points. I think it's pretty clear that the Wild, when his season is over, hopefully after a national championship, maybe not hopefully if you're a Gopher fan,
right?
But maybe after the Frozen Four, the Wild will sign him kind of like they did with Brock Faber. Now, the one thing I will caution is Brock Faber, and Motzko used to say it, and Billy Guerin used to say it, Brock Faber was sort of NHL ready. I don't know if Boyum's going to be that. I think they'll sign him, probably burn a year, bring him here. But even if he starts, plays a couple games here, maybe doesn't get playoff games like Faber did, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's on the team next year. I think that he's going to have a long, long career in the NHL. But just because, I think the one thing I will say is because Brock Faber has been such a revelation to this organization, there's going to probably be a lot of pressure on this kid, and people are just going to think that it's going to be the same exact path, and that he's just going to step in and be NHL ready. And we got to see that. I do think the Wild want to be careful and make sure that he's developed the correct way, but he's going to be a stud and just fell into their lap.
All right, last one, tonight's game.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one.
Edmonton, KFAN. Now, when as hockey people would say, Hynesy, the head coach, joined us out of the gate, and Kevin Gorg was with us. They had a fascinating conversation. This is rudimentary for those who think about hockey a lot, matchups and stuff. But, so Edmonton loses to the Wild and has won 6 of 7 since. Yep. Obviously, we have Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and so on. No Eriksson Ek in a game like tonight specifically with McDavid. It's a major factor not having him. But tonight, what do you think of that?
Well, I think the bigger factor is Brodin. Connor McDavid doesn't know what to do with Brodin. There's a reason why the Wild have held him to the lowest points per game against any of the 32 teams.
Wow. So that's why Edmonton's minus 145 tonight.
That if they're a favorite, like you're saying, it totally makes sense.
No, they're a big favorite.
I think that they this is going to be a tough one with the Wild. You're missing your number 1 center.
Damn.
Your number 1 checking center that you would go up against McDavid and Draisaitl every single shift, and you're missing your defenseman that skates as well as anybody in the league that McDavid has had and has said that he has had trouble with throughout his career. So that's huge. Declan Chisholm, it's been okay.
Yeah. Not
Jonas Brodin. So Jake Middleton and Brock Faber have been sensational this season, especially Middleton. Mm-hmm. Huge bounce back year. It'll be interesting how John goes with it because Spurgeon has been so elite this season. You go and just say to Chisholm, your job tonight is to just be incredibly mobile and take that Jonas Brodin role, and then you try to use Middleton and Faber against the other lines. It'll be interesting how he matches that up because the Wild will have the last change. But this is going to be a hard game tonight. You're missing Zuccarello. It's been really impressive the way the Wild continue to win games without Zuccarello and now without Brodin and Eriksson Ek. But tonight's a tough one. You're playing a guy with 20 goals in Draisaitl. You're playing McDavid, who's 38 points in 25 games. He's been unreal. You've got to shut them down. You've got to stay out of the penalty box, especially as porous, be kind as the Wild's penalty kill is.
Right.
So tonight's going to be a hard one, but they have continued to defy odds. This team has 23 games of points in 28 games this season. Nobody in the league nobody in this organization, and certainly not the beat writer, expected that.
You're awesome. Thank you. Michael Russo, Russo Radio, at Russo Hockey via Twitter. And you can hear behind us the morning skate for the Minnesota Wild, very much in play right now. It's a full skate, too. Full skate with McDazzle and Edmonton in town this evening off that road trip. 5-game homestand begins tonight for the Minnesota Wild on KFAN at 7 o'clock. We believe former Wild goaltender Alex Stalock will be joining us around the corner. It's Box in the Box from Trier Rink on your home for Wild hockey, KFAN.
Cove on Wednesday, December 18th at Shakopee Bowl in Shakopee. From 6:30 to 8:30 for Coors Light Hockey Night. Watch Minnesota play Florida and play trivia for your chance to win a pair of sweet tickets to the hockey game on January 9th. Get the full details at KFAN.com /calendar.
Brother, good to see you.
Thanks for having me back. I finally get to watch the Wild at pregame skate every time I get here. I don't want to say I hit cleanup, but I hit bottom of the order, and by the time I get here, I watch the Zamboni go around.
Yeah, well,
this is actually fun.
Yeah, and it's a full skate.
Yeah, I finally get to see it.
Full group, and I was telling Zacho that I've seen a million skates before, whether at the X or here. I can't remember the last time that I saw the full team. Now, they're coming off a road trip with a day off, and they got all these points and everything, and they're a little shorthanded right now. But like when Hynes gets the full group out here, and it's been a high intensity practice with a game tonight. Like from your experience, what's the point? Like what's the purpose to get the full team out, day of game, McDavid, and to have a full skate?
Yeah, and whether you're playing McDavid or whoever it may be, Edmonton's obviously a team that can skate, but it's kind of the way it goes. There's no reason to come in and skate yesterday after getting in at 3 in the morning from a late national broadcasted game in Utah. Let the guys rest, and they're doing a great job, I think, of handling it, just following along with guys on the inside or whoever it may be with how much time they're getting off, and obviously it's working. They're winning. They're finding ways to win games. The roster's a little dinged up right now, but the rest recovery aspect now in the new NHL, I don't want to say however many years it's been, but has become a focal point versus just grind, make them work, grind them out. It's changed a lot, and they realize that rest and recovery is so important to these athletes, and I think it's a smart move. You get them in here. These guys want to skate, too. They want to feel the puck, to get touches in the morning, get comfortable again, and then be ready to go tonight.
I haven't looked this up, so I'm going to go top of the head. Hopefully I'm not missing one here. If I am, take me deep. Your teams. The teams for whom you played goalie. Sharks, Wild, Blackhawks, Anaheimers.
Edmonton was in there, never actually played
Edmonton?
a game, but got picked up. Yeah, I went on waivers from Minnesota. Edmonton picked me up during the COVID season.
That's right.
So spent a few months up in Edmonton. Never played a game with them, but
that's right.
Was with them during that goofy season where they carried.
You stayed in that hotel right next to the arena, where you looked at the top of the arena, right?
Similar to the hotel that we stayed in when we went up there for the bubble playoffs as well. So I spent an extended amount of time in Edmonton twice.
Okay, well here's
beautiful city to spend time in. My God,
is it really?
No.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, no.
The flight attendant says it's a phenomenal city and great vacation destination, but I think I've had you, Gorg, and other people, but then maybe I was mixing it up with Calgary. Like one of them's a cow town.
You definitely are. When I was up there, when I got put on waivers, they were just installing Wi-Fi into the hotel. So I think I was one of the first people staying at that hotel that logged into the Wi-Fi, which was new to them up there. It was awesome.
All right. Well, the question is, when you're playing that night, so say you're playing for Edmonton or the Wild today, and you're the goaltender tonight, like what's that day like? Like, what do you have to do? What are your requirements when you're the goalie playing that evening?
Well, I don't know who's going tonight. I guess I haven't paid close attention. The bus is
yeah,
going
it's
tonight.
bus, right? Yeah, Hynes said it earlier. I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, I mean it's up. So many goalies are different. Some want a lot of work in the morning. Some don't want a ton of work. For me personally, I wanted to get a bunch of shots in the morning, going back to feeling the puck, getting comfortable, and carrying it over into the night. And then from there, I think you take care of your body off the ice, and whether it's jumping in a cold tub, hot tub, whatever it may, get some work done on the body. But I know most guys, obviously, we've talked about it, and what you do, the biggest part of being on the road or whether you're at home is that pregame nap.
Yeah.
And you miss that when you're done, and that's what I miss, is the ability to go home for 2 to 3 hours and shut the door and enjoy that quiet peacefulness and take a nap and then come back and be ready to perform. But the way both these goalies have been playing this year, the confidence they've been carrying, it's unwavering what they've done. They've kept their team in the game every single night, and I think when you get in a rhythm like that, it's just repeat, and I don't know if it's superstitious, but just getting in a rhythm.
So when you take naps, you don't wake up groggy and moody, and if so, how? I can't nap because I wake up like a bear. Yeah,
that nap has changed from when I was 20 in the American League to when I was 35 in the NHL. Who was that? It's just snow. My God! I thought it was a puck. I think that was former Blackhawk. That was former Blackhawk teammate Reese Johnson.
Oh my goodness!
Wow.
No, that nap definitely has changed. When I was 20, I could go home, and as soon as I was done eating, I'd put my head to the pillow, and I'd be out for 3 hours. I'd wake up, and I'd feel unbelievable. Now, by the time my career came to an end, it was if I got 3 minutes of total shut-eye, it was amazing. It's just harder to nap when you're older. I don't know what it is. Which it seems like it should be easier because, when you're younger and, you're at, say, a Christmas or a Thanksgiving, you watch how easy it was for Grandpa to sit on the recliner and fall asleep within 5 seconds. And, I mean, maybe that comes later in life, but, the 30s, it was tough to nap.
Zach, you have some play-by-play to your chops? Would you care to explain to the audience what just happened here in the observation deck where yours truly legitimately toppled and you're frustrated you didn't have your camera running?
I went to grab the first thing.
This would have gone viral.
The first thing was not concerned for you and try to catch you or anything. It was to grab my phone to try to capture it, but it all happened too fast.
But what was coming up here, I thought a puck was coming up here. So
you completely missed that. Okay,
no, completely missed it.
Alex, who was it again?
I want to say it was for when I finally looked over the Vox box or the Vox ledge.
It's Paulie on the perch.
Sorry. It looked like it was former Hawks teammate that I played with, Reese Johnson, who's up here currently with the Wild.
Okay,
that makes sense.
It was. I don't know how he got that. Well, look at the size blade he uses. He uses a shovel for a blade, so that's why that much snow came up here.
He shoveled a bunch of snow up against the boards, and then used that boards as leverage, brought the snow up, and then flicked it over. He was flicking things at you.
And somehow Paulie got pinned against the back wall with a little bit of snow.
Well, the way you jumped out of your chair,
I didn't move.
Didn't he stand up? I thought multiple pucks were coming up here, and the headphone cord got caught around my right leg. I'm trying to move my chair, and the headphones come off, the chair falls, and I topple onto my back.
Unbelievable.
I mean, if you had videotaped that, I mean, that would have been unbelievable.
Well, right here we got Live Barn. I don't know if that camera will catch it.
Oh,
that camera might catch.
I understand for this Paulie on the perch, Box in the Box, Trier Rink. I understand you booked a guest for us at 11:03. Who do we have?
I do. It's Wild TV color Ryan Carter, outdoor rink enthusiast. Jack of all trades. He's got beehives. He's got honey.
Wow.
He does it all. It's incredible. Whenever I had a question about anything, he can answer them all. So hopefully we got a list down for him. But he's going to be joining us. I know he's got a meeting with Aaron Sickman here soon. But he's here. He walked me in. He held my hand and got me up to the perch. So
that's the voice of former Wild goaltender Alex Stalock. And Ryan Carter will be joining us from Trier Rink around the corner. You're listening to KFAN.
Fan.
Join the Power Trips Meat Sauce this Saturday for the grand opening of Planet Fitness's new location in Edina. Stop by from 9:30 to 11:30 to check out the new location and to register for great prizes, including a free 1-year Black Card membership and KFAN swag. Get the full details now at KFAN.com /calendar.
Brian Carter.
Hey, PA, how you doing,
Good to
man?
see you, man.
Yeah, you too.
Alex, thanks for arranging for Ryan to come out. I'm going to start here because then I want to talk about a bunch of goofy things, and I just know you guys being as good of friends as you are. The conversation is going to involve beehives and outdoor skating and things like that, and it's going to be fantastic. But without naming right in front of us 5 minutes ago, without naming the player or the coach, there was a conversation here at Tria Rink where clearly a coach was talking to a player about why he's not playing tonight. Have you ever had,
I've had those.
Okay, I know. Actually, 3-2.
Actually, I don't know if I really had the conversations. I've been told I'm not playing.
Right.
Less of a conversation.
But it was a back and forth with some hand gestures and kind of like a why. And, so, of course, you've had those. What are those conversations like if you ever had one?
Yeah, that's interesting. There's a lot of dynamics to it, too, depending on if it's the head coach or the assistant coach. Because sometimes assistant coaches, that's kind of their role, is to be the conduit between those tough decisions, how the player feels, and how they respond. But I think sometimes it's tough love. When it gets to that spot where you have hand gestures, that's not the first conversation that has taken place when it comes to the individual, their efforts, or their performance. If it gets to that spot, you've been told 3, 4, 5 times it hasn't improved. This is the next step.
Right. So do players generally know they are not playing, that there'll be healthy scratches before the skate, like when they get here? Okay, so they generally know.
Yes.
Yeah, well, this looked like it caught somebody off guard a little bit, but maybe just talking about, technique and nuance and, things that you need to do to just coach speak,
I think more often than not you'll have the lineup on the board, and sometimes you won't have the lineup on the board because the coach doesn't want to disrespect the individual the morning of. So we might have the conversation with them before they walk in and then get hot and bothered by the fact that they're scratched. So that stuff does occur.
Hey, Zacho, you being from White Bear Lake and Ryan being New Jersey Devils and White Bear Lake Immortality, do you remember, I don't know what your age difference is here, but was he, inspirational to you to like hockey?
So he, of course, won a cup with the Anaheim Ducks back in 2007.
Yeah, wow, good
which
memory.
would have put me at 12 years old.
Damn.
And I was about 12 and a half when I was out at the White Bear Lake Sports Center ice when I think they had fog machines.
It was high tech.
It was really well done. Well done on the presentation. They had Ryan emerged from the Zamboni garage with the cup. He walked out on the ice. The kids were following him around, including myself. It was an incredible display, and to have the Stanley Cup come to your hometown. I know a lot of people across the state of Minnesota have had this opportunity. Lucky enough to have it in 2007. Thanks to you, Mr. Carter. And then, we got to take a picture with it as well. So.
Yeah, I think we auctioned off having cereal out of the Stanley Cup because that's what they do. But unfortunately, Mr. Brian Halverson didn't win the auction. Otherwise, you could have had your Captain Crunch or Fruity Pebbles, I don't know, your cereal of choice from the Stanley Cup like the champions. No, I'm kidding. But that was a fun day. Bringing it back home, sharing it with as many people. I'd won it my rookie year, so I didn't really know what to do. I didn't plan for it. It all happened really fast. But in hindsight, I'm glad I got to share it with the people that brought the game to me.
And you obviously got to go down to Mankato, I believe, as well with it. Celebrate with your Mavericks as well, and just do you think about it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that your name is etched into the Stanley Cup?
No, I don't think about it that much. But when I do think about it, it's like you get hungry because you're like, man, you know what? That was fun, and I'd like another one, but it just doesn't always things don't always line up that way, as you can tell. It would have been nice to have another, but. No.
Speaking of etched, Zach. Oh my gosh, we got a whole. It's been a holy morning for Paulie. He just went to fill up his coffee, and as he was walking over here, it was pouring out of the bottom. Maybe it got hit by your back when you.
Hey, we got to talk about this.
Right, yeah, here's the deal. All right,
all right, 3-2.
And my zipper's down, which is always really comfortable, and I have a map of Key West on the front of my pants. Both of you will be 58 one day. Okay, so here's what happened. Is I wasn't paying attention a former teammate of Alex's, Reese Johnson.
You're correct, yes.
Yeah, flick some snow up here. I turn, I think it's a puck. Okay, so I try to stand up. I step on the headphone cord. Headphone comes off, chair falls, announcer on floor. And not even trying to do it for social media. During the time, my coffee cup, which I was holding, clearly part of the bottom broke. So I'm trying to make coffee over here, and I keep looking at it, and it won't fill up. And all of a sudden, there's a lot of coffee on this Formica table. I'm like, what the hell's happening here? So I pick it up, part of the bottom, when I fell, it got perforated.
That's what you were doing over there when I walked up. Your cart's was over by the cups.
Yeah, and he's like, why is this so wet?
Oh, my.
Because the coffee, I know it's ridiculous.
We need that, guys.
Dude, based on the hand gestures, I'm wondering if we didn't misinterpret what occurred on the ice. Maybe one of the players cut the coffee cup of the coach, and that's what they were talking about.
That might have been the case, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to pause, and when we come back, more with Alex Stalock and Ryan Carter. Zach Osier, and I'm Paul Allen. We are at Trier Rink for Vox in the Box, Wild Morning Skate, coming to a conclusion on KFAN.